The first thing you're going to need to do when installing the KFS gateway is go to our website, click on the technical downloads at the top there, go through to the KFS Net-gateway, just download that file. There we'll see it download there. Just going to open it now. So we'll need to just open that. It's just going to say, because that file was generated recently, it's going to need to have the Run Now button, just because Microsoft hasn't seen it before. Okay, so that's next. We can just next straight through all of that. Can just make sure that the tick over there for start application is on. That's now going to open up a web page. It's not going to sort of start running straight away. It is starting all the services in the background. So there we go. You'll see it will come through now. Okay, so what you're going to need to do is just accept and continue over there. Now there's a few ways of linking the installed software over here to the KFS server. If we know beforehand that we're going to be going to the customer to install this, I can send an email through to you, and then you can use that direct. Okay, no, sorry. This is if the customer's got a proxy server in, we're going to need to just tick on this. So if the customer does have a proxy server, I know some of our customers do have that. We're going to need to put in the proxy server's IP address there with the port, and then a user account for that proxy server. It's best if we can ask the customer to just give us a system account, one that won't change all the time. Like we have at one customer where they actually refuse to give us a system account. They want us to use one of the user's accounts. That user account's password changes every month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever it is. And now we've got to then reconnect and change that password on the software every time, because it's not going to be able to reach the internet because that user's password has changed all the time. So if they can give us a system account or a specific proxy username and password for the KFS software so that we don't have to reset it all the time, that would probably be the best option. So for my house, I'm just going to select direct connection because we don't have a proxy server. Then if I've sent you an email with the configuration key, you can put that in here. Otherwise, we'll just have to click on the manual registration. Here we'll just copy and paste. Let me just pause this. Okay, so here we're going to need to copy and paste the URL and access code. This access code can't be the generic one that you can find on the password website. This has to be specific to the customer. So we can't just use the generic one, which is on the password website. It needs to be the specific customer's access code. So if you don't have it, just ask me or someone else at the office to create an account for that customer. If they already have an account, you should be able to get that off the app on your phone, and then you can put that access code in there. Okay, so I'm just going to go to this one that I've set up now for my house. Just select that access code. There. Select that URL. This URL is the same one which is on the password website. Now, the problem is there's always extra spaces, and that causes errors when it comes to syncing. So description, I'm just going to call this Aston Test Demo. And now with this, let's actually see if it works without this KFS Manager authentication. Let's just see. I've never done it without it, but I see you can actually select to not use that now. So let's just see what happens. Okay, so here you want to make sure that it's going to register the devices on KFS. So as soon as it finds a device on the network, it's going to send that device's details through to KFS. We want to select managed here. Actually, it doesn't really matter, managed or monitor. We can actually change them later. But if you click on manage, it's going to get a lot more information for the Kyocera devices. and we will then be able to obviously do the firmware updates. So preferably just click on manage. If we just want to monitor the meter readings, we don't want, or the customer doesn't want us to be able to have bi-directional communication with the machines. So in other words, we can't send files to the machines. It can only send files to us. We can't actually send any information back to the machine. Then we'd have to just select the monitor there. But for one of the main reasons we like our KFS is the ability for us to send files to the devices, such as firmware and things like that, to just make sure the devices are always up to date. Click next there. It's just going to go through all the settings we've put in. It's complete and set up there. It does take a second or two. It's obviously going to depend on the speed of the client's computer. When installing this, if possible, could we please install it on the customer's server or a computer that's going to sort of stay untouched for a while? If not, installing it on the receptionist's computer or someone's computer that's preferably not a laptop, a desktop computer that's going to stay there all the time and which is going to be on most of the time, is going to give us the best results. Because the laptop's going to be taken home, it's going to be turned off, the lid is closed, it's always in sleep mode, and then it's not going to be sending us information as regularly as we'd like. So the default password for this is admin hash 1234. So admin hash 1234. Just say never on here if that does pop up. Now you'll see that it hasn't found any devices, anything yet, because we haven't told it what to look for. So if we click on add devices, we can click save discovery settings. You'll see there's none sort of discovery settings set in there right now. So just click on cancel there, add devices now. So buy local network is what we're going to choose, unless the customer only doesn't want us to scan the network and look for devices. They want us to sort of add them in by an IP range or the specific IP address. We can select that. But most of the time, I think buy local network is what we're going to be picking. If the customer does have USB devices, we will then need to install a USB tool on the computer, and then we can tick this option as well. So that tool will allow this software to pick up that computer and then use that computer to get the information from the USB installed printers. So if the customer does have a lot of USB installed printers, or we do need to get meter readings out of the USB installed printers, we just need to tick that option there. Otherwise, we can just pretty much scroll right to the bottom. If the customer does have has changed all their username and passwords for the printers, like we do have a few customers where they have actually changed the default admin password for the printers, they will need to put that admin password in over there for us to get onto the machine. So obviously for us, it's just admin with a capital A. Over here, I'm going to save these settings so that it automatically runs them. So I'm just going to call this DBS demo. You can call it whatever you want. DBS is just fine. I'm just going to leave it at DBS. Now, just to make sure that it automatically uploads those machines that it finds to the KFS server, we just need to tick enable automatic registration. So with that, if the machine is a newer model and it can actually be added with the old sort of method with where we would actually log into the machine and put these settings in and add it to the KFS server, we can use that automatic registration to actually scan the network and add those machines as normal devices like we have been doing before. And we can just click run there. It's now going to just scan the network and find whatever printers are on the network. Should find 2 printers here because I've actually taken a 5052 home during lockdown so that I could do some printing for some schools that needed work done. Let's see what devices it finds. Okay, there we go. So it's found 2 devices. Let's close that there. Okay, so you can see that those 2 devices are actually, there's the IP address of them, model, serial number, and it says over here that they actually are registered. So that means those devices are already on KFS, and we probably didn't need this software, but I'm just doing a how-to video on how to install the software. So most of the time it's going to say they're unregistered. And after the software is run, it's going to click make them registered over there. And it'll actually sometimes tell you the group name. I'm not sure why it hasn't. Okay, so I think it's busy processing everything in the background over there. But it'll actually tell you where that device is registered on KFS. So if it is registered in the wrong account, you just need to let someone in the office know so that we can move this device into the correct account. So I think right now, actually, these devices are in the DBS internal account. So if we click on the view tasks over here, it's actually said that this task has failed. And the reason for that, let's just download it over there. We'll be able to see. So the reason that actually failed was because these two devices, let's just full screen this. Because these two devices here, it discovered it, but when it tried to register that device, it failed because that device was already on KFS. So I've already added these devices manually because they are devices that we can add directly without needing the software. So that's why it actually says that it's failed over there. So you don't have to worry about that because we already have these devices on the network. But this shouldn't happen on a customer where these devices actually aren't already on KFS, or if they are FS devices. So that if the FS models would be showing up here, and they wouldn't have actually failed. Now, if you wanted to, there was actually a way. Yeah, so if you tick a device there and you wanted to go to the home page of that device, you can just tick it and click on home page over there. It'll then take you through to the home page of that device, so you can log in and change some of the settings. If most of the time, if the machine isn't registering to KFS, 90% of the time it is the gateway hasn't been set or the DNS hasn't been set. Easier way to test this is if the machine has got scans email set up. If the scans email is working, the device probably does have internet settings all in there correctly. But if you're using an IP address for the SMTP server, that means that that device has not been correctly set up. If the device won't actually work with the host name of the SMTP server as opposed to the IP address, then that means that the device isn't set up correctly and something is wrong with the network settings. So if you have to put an IP address in for the email server, you know there that there's something wrong with the network settings on that device. So just make sure that let's just go into this machine. The DNS settings are in. Preferably use the DNS settings which you can find on the user's computer for the primary, and the secondary we can use one of Google's servers or any of the other servers that are publicly usable. Okay, so most important, default gateway. If there's no default gateway, the device can't actually connect out to the internet. And if there's no DNS here, the device is not going to be able to turn a www web address into an IP address for it to connect to. So that's why on the SMTP server, it's going to fail with the host name, but it'll work with the IP address. So that all that means is that the DNS server is not either in there or it's not correct. So we can go back through here now. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Once you've sort of done that, you can see all the devices are on there. And it's not actually going to show me these devices on here because those devices are already registered to a different account on KFS. Okay, then another tool that we can actually use. Okay, let me actually do this in a separate video. I'll do a separate video on the device registration tool. And yeah, I don't think there's anything else we need to know for the KFS. But I'll do another video just explaining everything that you need to do when adding a device onto KFS. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it. And then it's sending its information through to the server, and we'll be getting the information of those machines. So then the other thing is this doesn't only work for Kyocera devices. So there you'll be able to see there, it's non-KFS devices. So that'll actually be, I think, FS devices as well, but any other brand devices it'll pick up as well. So it's the same as FM Audit, this tool that we're installing now. Looks a hell of a lot better than the FM Audit tool, and it's a hell of a lot easier to set up as well.